And welcome back, boys and girls, mom and dad all around the world, to the Bad Bets for Free podcast, sponsored to you by the Sharps Toolbox.
Attaway, buddy.
Where can they find the Sharps Toolbox?
They can find the Sharps Toolbox at app.sharpstoolbox.com.
One more time. Where can you find the Sharps Toolbox?
app.sharpstoolbox.com.
And why do they want to go to the Sharps Toolbox?
So if you go to the Sharps Toolbox, first off, it's free at the moment, and you will be able
Free.
to create your own power rankings, turn those into spreads, and basically just bet into games with your own spreads so you can see what the true number should be as opposed to what it is.
And who are you to fucking tell anyone to do anything? What are your credentials?
Well, I am nobody. But no, I mean, we're all learning. We're all getting better every day. But I did have 2 entries cash in the Circa Millions last year, which was the single largest high stakes football contest in the history of Las Vegas, with high stakes being defined as at least $1,000 entry cost. So it was $1,000. I had 2 millions entries and 2 survivor entries, and I cashed both millions, and I brought my survivor down to the final 100.
Love that for us. So
I've been doing this for like 5 years, though.
oh yeah, there's a bunch of people that definitely know a bunch more shit than us. But
For
like,
sure.
from our perspective, we're gonna get you there, and then you can get yourself the rest of the way there. Either
And you can follow in our journey. I mean, we're gonna be doing the contest. We're flying out to Vegas August 16th to sign up. So if anyone is in Vegas August 16th, feel free to. And you see just 2 ugly fat dudes walking around. They're probably us.
Well, one of us is definitely fatter than the other one, and one of us is also definitely uglier than the other one.
Yeah, I'm fatter. He's uglier. But yeah, we'll be out there, and we're going to be talking a lot about our contest entries this year. We're also going to be doing a lot of educational things around how to build power rankings, how to turn them into spreads, how to adjust your numbers throughout the season, and just statistical analysis around the NFL season and how it's going.
And we're going to be here every week. Going forward into the regular season, we're going to give you weekly updates on how we're doing in our survivors, how we're doing in the contests, how we're doing in everything, right? So we are the Bad Bets for Free podcast. We hope that we're pretty fun to listen to if you're going to listen to anybody, right? Because no one fucking knows anything. So if you're going to listen to anyone speculate, we would hope that it would be us. Hopefully you can actually go and check out, where can they find it, Zach?
app.sharpstoolbox.com. Sharps with an S.
Yep. And then you can create your own power rankings and you can beat the spread along with us.
And you can message us about how much better your power rankings are. Feel free.
Oh, dude, nothing would make us happier. If you could actually successfully leverage the toolbox, that's actually one thing that we're going to do during the course of the year. We're going to have prizes for people that can screenshot their use of the toolbox, send it to us, let us know that the toolbox helped them in winning, what it is with your office that week, right? If you do something and you use it and you fucking win the games for that week or whatever the case is, like however you access it, if it's $1 million Circa fucking contest or if it's just you dicking around with your fucking boys in the fucking SDR cubicles, like whatever the fuck it is.
SDR, you think just everyone works in sales? Just everyone, and there's no one. The only people who heard SDR and immediately were like, "Oh yeah, sales development representative," or people who work in sales.
All right, let's get into it. Preseason here, we're going through and we're talking about teams, just generally how we feel about them, how we think we might be, if we feel like we're gonna go with them, if we feel like we're gonna fade them, like how we feel about them, just generally speaking over the course of the year. On the most recent podcast, we did the NFC and AFC North. That was a great time. Encourage you to go back and watch that if this is the first one that you're catching. If not, and this is the second one that you're catching and you actually started with that one.
Thank you.
Thank you, and God fucking bless you. But here we are. So I will kick things off. I'm going to start with a team that's very dear to me. Can you guess?
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay. And I'm just going to read you. Let me just read you some shit. All right? Give me a second here.
If you are about to go on a rant about Tom Brady,
No, I'm not even going to talk.
accolades,
I'm not even going to talk about Tom Brady. We don't have that much time. Mike Evans, Julio Jones, Chris Godwin, Russell Gage, Tyler Johnson, Scotty Miller, Brashad Perryman, Leonard Fournette, Rashad White, Keyshawn Vaughn, Giovanni Bernard, Kenyon Barner. Where are tight ends?
Cameron Brate.
Cameron Brate, Kyle Rudolph, Cade Otton, who they drafted in first pick of the 4th round, which is like a fringe 3rd round pick. Vita Vea, Akeem Hicks, Devin White, Levante David, Shaquille Barrett, Carlton Davis, Antoine Winfield, Sean Murphy Bunting, Tom Brady. I mean, that team, that is an NFL football team. Top to bottom, ass to crack, cheeks to nuts, fucking everywhere that you look in that locker room, it is studded. They are going to Christoph Waltz, friend of the program, to the NFC Championship game. I mean, that is the floor. I'll take another pod bet with you. NFC Championship game floor for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
So you have championship game better, and I have any other result.
NFC Championship game floor.
Sign you up for that.
Only team that is potentially better in the NFC.
Rams.
Yeah. We could do that same exercise with the Rams.
Yeah.
I'm not going to.
I will say
passionately about Tampa.
The Akeem Hicks pickup to the defensive line in replacement of JPP. Hicks is better.
Hicks is good, and
Hicks
they're both old. They're both the shittier versions of the former selves.
Yeah.
And Hicks is good.
Hicks is very good.
And Hicks has 10 fucking tentacles.
Honestly, as you read off those names, that's a lot of talent.
It's a lot of talent. When I was prepping for this one for the week, I had that little gimmick that I just did. Shout that out. I had that planned for a while. It's a fucking loaded rock. I mean, it's just fucking insane. They have Julio Jones listed as one of their Scotty Miller catches footballs. Brashad Perryman catches footballs. Tyler Johnson catches footballs. Tyler Johnson's been waiting to bust out and have big games he's a good wide. He just can't he can't crack the top 6 wide receivers on the team. The team is fucking unbelievable, dude.
Yeah, they're very talented. And who's there? Todd Bowles, great coach.
Tom Brady's probably really their head coach.
Yeah, but I'd still rather have Todd Bowles than Bruce Arians. I'm not a Bruce Arians guy. Earlier in his career, great coach, sure. He really got fat and lazy, man. Metaphorically fat and lazy. He's not.
He had a golden goose.
Yeah, he had Tom Brady.
Yeah, Tom Brady. Get the fuck out of the way.
I'm not a big Bruce Arians guy. I think Todd Bowles is an improvement at head coach as well. So that's what I would add. I think they got better in the coaching room.
I think they got better in the coaching room. I mean, dude, that team is like, and we also talk about something that we talk about is like injuries, blah, blah, blah. Like that team has fucking depth. Like they are a Tom Brady injury away or a Max Kellerman.
Oh, but then you got
Tom Brady
Gabbert,
falling
buddy.
off a cliff. And Kyle Trask. Shout out Kyle Trask. I mean, dude, it's just and another thing that we've talked about is the NFC fucking sucks.
Yeah.
The NFC fucking sucks. Although I love
And
Jameis.
they get the Panthers
I love
and
Jameis.
the Falcons.
No, I love Jameis Winston. I love Jameis. I hope he's eating fucking W's all the way until he runs into fucking Tampa Bay.
They do also have 4 games against the Panthers and the Falcons.
I mean, dude, they could play the fucking Monstars 6 times. They're still gonna fucking win, dude. That roster is ridiculous. Dude.
It's good.
It's good. I don't even think we need to even say the one thing. All right, to bring us back to the point here, 11.5 is tied for the highest. 2 things on a serious note. 11.5 tied for the highest total with the Bills. Vegas today. 11.5 points on what's today, August
3rd.
August 3rd. So that's dicey, right? Obviously, if you're the highest, that gives room for under. I'd probably avoid it. I just wouldn't take it. It's just one that I would avoid. But I mean, if you put a gun to my head, I'll take the over.
Yeah, I wouldn't take the under.
I wouldn't take the
have
under.
a tough time. Unless you're literally saying, hey, Tom's been hurt before.
Yeah, The one thing that is a concern, been a Tom Brady fan my whole life. The one way you beat Tom Brady, how do you do it?
Pressure up the middle, and they lost Ali Marpet.
Dude, he pulled the fucking Andrew Luck.
Yeah,
He's
got his bag, got a chip.
pulled
Said, "All right, I had a good
pulled
career,
the
man."
28 years old.
Gold.
Deuces. They
Bye.
lost Kappa to the Bengals,
Yep.
of which we talked about, and then Jansen just had the
The
fucking
big injury.
the
yeah,
big
yeah,
injury.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting there and you're like, okay, offensive line is a major notice of the litany that I went on, I did
Not a single. You didn't even say Tristan Wirfs.
I didn't even. Honestly, that's egregious because Tristan Wirfs is the man.
He's a stud.
He's a stud. But yeah, so like obviously that's a huge area of concern. But like this far out, like I feel like they'll figure it out. I mean, that team is just fucking disgusting.
Yeah, and if they got to make a move, I'm sure they will. Tom Brady's a great GM.
Tom Brady's not going to let himself get beat up.
Yeah, no shot. If they got to, and honestly, they have so much talent on that roster, especially wide receiver. You could see them ship some guys out, especially like you just added Julio Jones. Like maybe you get rid of one of your big name guys. Because I was thinking about this the other day. Like Mike Evans was so touchdown dependent last year as a useful like fantasy guy. You know, he didn't get a. Now you have Julio Jones. Maybe he fucking sells Mike Evans for like a top tier offensive lineman.
I mean, realistically, I don't think that ever happens. But like Julio Jones, the Titans were asking Julio Jones to be like a be wide receiver too, and like play a big role last year. That's ideally what they were looking for.
Yeah.
And like Julio Jones can just like
He's got to stay healthy.
he could be a decoy, or they could only use him in the end zone. Like I don't know if that's realistic, but like they need him to do jack shit realistically.
Yeah, they.
Oh, is that so super loud?
That just sounds like shit. Yeah,
Sorry,
it's all good.
I just get excited when I'm talking about.
No, you should be excited, but like maybe just
All right, I'll try to keep it in my pants a little bit. All right, let's offensive line is an area of concern. I probably wouldn't take the under, but I'm gonna stay away. But that team is just it's just fucking teams, and the NFC sucks dick. All
yeah.
right,
I also officially would not touch that over under at all. But I guess I'll pivot here to the only team you can talk about in the NFC South, besides Tampa Bay, with any real ability to win football games at a high rate, which is the New Orleans Saints. Jameis Winston, I'll give you this bet. I love Jameis Winston for comeback player of the year. I took him at plus 500. I think that's a good bet. Their defense is very good. Their defense is very good.
They beat the Bucks in that game last year.
Yeah,
they did.
And Dennis Allen clearly has some shit going on with beating Tom Brady. Tampa Bay. I mean, Dennis Allen has something going on there. He's beat him a couple times. Their offensive line is very good in New Orleans. Alvin Kamara had a down year, but it's still a good year.
He might get suspended, though.
Yeah, he might get suspended. He got in a fight in Vegas. Michael Thomas is back. He's actually practicing with the team. They added Chris Olave.
Landry came home.
Jarvis Landry came home. This could be a really dangerous team. I think their offense, it depends on Jameis, and we'll see if this paid off. Him going through Sean Payton's school of excellence and sitting behind Drew Brees, and last year was supposed to be his year. He gets hurt, but
he was
still
doing good
there.
before he went down.
He's doing good. I'm interested to see what the Saints do this year. And again, I can't emphasize this enough. Their defense last year was a top 3 defense in the NFL. It's very good. Dennis Allen is a defensive-minded coach. They're going to continue to play great defense. And then on offense, we'll see. They've given Jameis the weapons. He's got a line in front of him. He loves to push the ball down the field. I think they could be a good team. And their number is what, 8.5? It's got to be more than 7.5. If they put it at 7.5, I'd take the over. I think 8.5 is the right number. At 8.5, I'd
8.5.
Yeah, at 8.5, I probably wouldn't play it one way or the other because I think it's going to be either 9 or 8 wins. But they could surprise you. They could win 10 games, and again, especially if they feast on some of the worst teams in the NFC and win some games. But I like the Saints. I think they could be competitive. I think they could be one of the teams, kind of like I said about the Vikings, where they could fit into that not elite, but a good team, like a good, solid, winning team.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
I know we just got live chatted a question.
Sure.
The viewers want to know.
Yeah.
Who do you have in a fight? Cam Jordan, like street fight,
Sure.
like back alley outside of a bar.
Sure.
Cam Jordan or Aaron Donald?
Cam Jordan's meaner.
I'm going Cam Jordan. I think that might be an unpopular opinion. I think a lot of people might say Aaron Donald. Like, there's the videos of him like training with knives and shit, like the whole nine. I think Cam Jordan.
Cam Jordan's a bad man.
I think Cam Jordan. I don't even think it's close.
I
I don't even think it's close.
Cam Jordan also has like 100 pounds on him, and like, I think like 5 inches, dude. Like Cam Jordan is huge. He's like 6'6", 280. He is massive. And Aaron Donald's fast as hell, and I don't want to discount that. And he's got great leverage and the whole deal. But I think Aaron Donald's probably, let me put it this way. Aaron Donald is, if you're that good at football, there's nothing else. There's nothing else you could be better at than football. Like, he's too good at football to be better than at anything else than he is at football. Cam Jordan, kind of the same way, but I could also, like, if he joined the UFC, he might win the heavyweight belt tomorrow.
Who's the fucking douchey
Greg Hardy.
Greg Hardy.
Fuck that guy.
Oh my god. All right.
But that's what I got on the Saints. What do you think?
I think that's good. I think Jameis is good. I think Chris Olave is the wide receiver that you want to have in fantasy, just because I think Jarvis Landry and Michael Thomas are obviously better wide receivers. They're obviously more accomplished wide receivers, but like they're going to be doing their thing across the middle, running slants. J-Mo just likes to bomb the ball down the field.
Loves to throw it down.
He's not really like Mr. fucking Snipesy. He's Mr. fucking bomb it. I think J-Mo's the man. I think he's one of the best personalities in the NFL. I'm rooting for him. So I would love to root for Jameis and maybe have some egg on my face because I was wrong on the root for Jameis.
Sure.
Like that's one of those ones that I just like. I just emotionally want to happen.
Yeah, I get it.
You know what I mean? So I'm with that. Okay, moving on. What a transition from that to one that I literally couldn't care less about is the Atlanta Falcons.
Do we have a boo in here?
No, that was the opposite. No. Oh, wait, this one. No, this one.
That's the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, that's the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they have some cool. Like they have AJ Terrell, they have Casey Hayward, they have Kyle Pitts, they have who's the stud rookie wide receiver that they just drafted who's making noise in camp?
I forget.
Drake London,
Yes, USC.
Calvin Ridley. See ya. Can't bet on games, dude. You can't bet on games. I know it's fucking stupid, but you can't bet on games.
Yeah, he wasn't even suited up for him. He wasn't even in the stadium.
If you can't,
He wasn't even in the stadium.
You can listen. If you want to bet on games, you can be in the NFL or you can bet on games. Like
I can do both.
It's stupid, but it's like he's fucked. Someone in his camp should have been like,
Don't do that.
Give me your fucking phone. I mean Marcus Mariota, like their team's just gonna suck. Their team's just not gonna be a fun one to watch. They're just gonna get run over. Their defense sucks. What's the line? They're one of the lowest ones. They're 4.5 games. It's tied for the lowest you could possibly be right now.
This team's going to be really bad. And I feel bad for Arthur Smith, their head coach. I really liked him in Tennessee. I do think, though, he was handed a terrible situation.
Terrible.
And he shouldn't have taken the job. Like, that's the weird thing about NFL head coaches is, like, if you're a coordinator and someone offers you a job, like, how do you say no? Like, how do you be like...
Josh McDaniels.
Josh McDaniels is the only one I can think of.
And he waited, now he's in a great situation with
Joe
the Raiders.
Judge is another one where I'm like, dude, you shouldn't have taken that job. Like, the franchise was not ready for someone to come in and be like, hey, we need to change things. You know what I mean? The same way the Atlanta Falcons isn't ready for someone to come in and be like, hey, we need to like build a team. And they're like, actually, we're going to send Matt Ryan out for a bag of peanuts. You're going to take on Marcus Mariota. You had him in Tennessee. It'll be fine. Also, Mike Davis is your new running back.
And Cordero Patterson and Mike Davis. And then the shittier Williams. The shittier backup Kansas City Williams. They couldn't even get Darrell. They got Damian.
Yeah.
They got the wrong Williams. Yeah, that's a tough scene. One last thing of just hate.
That offensive line's dog shit too. I've never seen a team spend that many first round picks on an offensive line, and their offensive line sucks. It is so bad. They have 5 first round picks on that offensive line, and they're all dog shit. How do you miss that many times? Bring in new evaluators. After the first 2, just swing and a miss. You didn't bring in someone else. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, no. I don't feel passionate enough. The only other thing, and this is just further disparaging the Falcons that I want to add is, do you remember around this time last year when it was a really trendy pick to take Brian Edwards from the Las Vegas
Yes.
Raiders?
Yes.
I did that in a couple leagues.
Didn't work.
I took Brian Edwards. Like I was like that
That's
was like
the guy.
that's like one that I bid on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was like, okay. You know what I mean? And he's on the Falcons now. So fuck you.
Fuck
you,
Brian Edwards.
All right, moving on.
All right, let's go to the Panthers then. Another dog shit team in the South. Look, I think Baker's an obvious improvement over Sam Darnold. Baker deserves to be a starter. He played a lot hurt. He had one good year in the NFL where he looked like the real deal. But I will say a couple things about Baker. He gets a lot of passes batted down at the line of scrimmage. He had one year where he averaged like 2 a game. It was like 24 passes. Really, it was a lot. I don't remember the exact number. 2 years ago, it was so many passes knocked down at the line of scrimmage. And like short quarterbacks don't always have that. Drew Brees doesn't have that. Kyler Murray didn't have that. Baker has that. Again, he played a lot hurt last year. It's hard for me to give him too hard of a time for how he played last year because I think he would have been better off saying, I'm too hurt to play, because he looked like shit and he clearly didn't have the same zip on the ball. Look, Matt Rule's job is on the line. They fired Joe Brady. They brought in Ben McAdoo. You know, Ben McAdoo is a much better coordinator than he is a head coach. We'll see how he does. This is his first coordinator job since he was in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. He's been an offensive assistant in a couple places since he got fired as head coach of the Giants. I'm interested to see what they do. And, Robbie Anderson's good. DJ Moore is good. They have some talent on their offensive line. I'll tell you what.
Who's the rookie tight end? He wasn't that bad last year.
I don't remember.
And they say, even someone like Hawkinson, like they say, for whatever reasons, tight ends need the second year.
Yeah. And I'll also say this. Look, their defense was very young last year, and they beat the hell out of bad offenses. They picked on bad quarterbacks and bad offenses, but couldn't keep up with really good offenses and talented teams. Having a second year to develop, I think their defense will be much more consistent. Do I think it's going to be a dominant, stifling defense? No, but I think they will be competent and like I guess at 6.5 of the 6.5 teams, I think this one's my favorite to take over. I certainly like them more than the Bears. I tell you what, I think the Panthers are going to be a better team than the Giants, and the Giants are at 7.5. I think the Panthers are going to be a good, not great team.
You like him better than the Lions?
Yeah. I like them better than the Lions.
Yeah, then they're your favorite 6.5 team.
I think they're my favorite 6.5 team.
Let me ask you a question, because last episode you touched on a pretty good thing about the worth of Devontae Adams.
Sure.
And this was relative to him and specifically getting thrown passes by Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
No shade to Derek Carr. Healthy Christian McCaffrey playing 12 games, 13 games.
Sure.
Right. At full health, like Christian McCaffrey. How much do you think that moves the needle?
Well, I think how many games he plays is more important than anything else, right? Because when he plays, he's one of the few, like, I remember when Derrick Henry got hurt last year and the line moved, he was like announced out and the line moved 3 points. And I remember hearing people who I respected lose their minds, like, a running back worth 3 points in the NFL. This isn't 1965. But then other people I really respected were like, look, this is the one guy I think is actually might be worth, especially in their offense. I think Christian McCaffrey's close to that, but I'd say he's probably more like 2.
I got a crazy hot take here.
Sure.
I think, and who knows if we'll ever, even if he is healthy, has he lost a step now? Like, right, we got to see what it looks like. I think the best case version of Christian McCaffrey is better than Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt put together.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I think so.
So if Baker Mayfield is coming from Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt doing a lion's share of leaning on, and Christian McCaffrey is better than that. And then I also think that DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Terrace Marshall Jr.
Is better
they
than
also
anything
run
they had
over
in Cleveland.
Rashad Higgins too,
Yeah.
who he has rapport with.
Yeah.
Like that is way better than what he had over in Cleveland. So you're giving Baker Mayfield far more to work with, and he's pissed.
Yeah, I would say
So
their,
I think
their
that's a-
offensive line
you know?
isn't quite as good.
Yeah, no, their offensive line's dog shit.
But I get what you're saying. He's got more weapons.
He's
here,
got more to work with. He's pissed. He's got a chip on his shoulder.
which is when he's his best.
And Matt Rule's desperate. I know this is another point that you brought up. Like Matt Rule's got a winner. He's done.
He's done.
Yeah, he's fucking sitting here in this open spot on the couch, hanging out with us.
Well, it might not get that bad for him. He might not find himself in Glens Falls, New York, hanging out with two degenerates.
But it's yeah. So I actually like them. I like them the most. You said this. You said something similar to this about the Lions on the last episode of like kind of like a trendy shitty team, like a good shitty team.
Yeah.
Like I think that the Panthers are going to be a good shitty team. Like I think
Yeah.
that they're gonna. I think they're gonna hit. I think
They're
you can
gonna
have some
cover
fun
games.
bets. They're gonna cover games. You can have some good first half, some good second halves. Like you can have some. You can. There's gonna be money to be made with the Carolina Panthers. If you notice after a couple games, if you see 3 weeks into the season that McCaffrey's healthy, if you see 3 weeks into the season, and obviously there's gonna be adjustments then, right?
Right. And I
But-
think you're making a great point, and I just really want to try to say it out loud. Is this a team that you maybe want to bet on the over 6.5? Maybe not. But this is a team that when you get points, especially if it's like 6 points or more, they're going to be in games. They're going to keep it close. They're going to fight for games. They have a desperate coach. They've got a quarterback with a chip on their shoulder. And like I said, I think their defense is going to be competent across the board. I think they're going to be really consistent. This is a team you can win games with, because the key to betting, right, is finding teams that the market doesn't respect that they should. Because if you get points, more points than you should, you're going to win. And if you have to lay less points than you should have to, you're going to win. That's just the way it works, right? So finding teams that the market doesn't respect that they should is the name to the game. And I think the Panthers could be one of those teams.
I think the Panthers could be one of those teams. They start fun game versus Cleveland. Cleveland comes into town to play.
That is,
Baker game.
yeah, I did know that. That is a fun game. And I'll tell you what, I'll take the Panthers.
And
Especially if it's Jacoby Brissett. I think I did lay that offshore
second game
weeks ago.
at New York Football Giants.
I take the Panthers.
Very realistic possibility that the Panthers start the season 2-0.
Yeah.
Very realistic. Very realistic chance the Panthers start the season 2-0.
That could be real.
Which is you're looking at later in the year they play the Falcons. That's a winnable game. They play the Falcons twice. They play the Detroit Lions. That's a winnable game. They play Seattle. That's a winnable game. I mean, otherwise they have a pretty tough schedule. They play the Saints, the Cardinals, the 49ers, the Rams.
Oh, they got the NFC
The Tampa,
West.
they play the Cincinnati Bengals. They play the
Oh,
Baltimore
and the
Ravens.
North.
They play the Denver
Oh.
Broncos. The Pittsburgh again. Tampa, New Orleans again. I mean, that's. Yeah, I mean, I might hammer the under.
But again, especially if they're going through the gauntlet and it's like they got beat up by the Bengals, they got shit kicked in by the Cardinals, and then it's like, yeah, now they're playing the Steelers and they're a 6-point underdog.
They might have the single heart. Poor Baker, man. Guy just can't catch a fucking break.
It's the
They
NFL,
might, they
baby.
may have the hardest game.
Yeah, well, he's also going to make $20 million this year. So,
All right, let's keep it moving.
all right, let's move to the AFC South.
Yeah.
Do you want me to kick this one open?
Sure.
So I'm going to talk, and Devin knows this. Devin and I have talked about this team a lot over the last few years. They've become my default AFC team, the Tennessee Titans. I'm a big Vrabel guy. I think Vrabel's a great coach. I've been really in on Ryan Tannehill. I was way in on, as soon as A.J. Brown was drafted, I was Mr. A.J. Brown. I call him the shorter Terrell Owens. The guy's just a freak of nature. Derrick Henry, obviously, their defense is very good. Here's why they were obviously, this is the number 1 seed in the AFC last year. They had the bye. The number one seed in the AFC, and I think they're not even the favorite to win their own division. The Colts are.
The Colts are going to win that division.
Here's what I have to say about the Titans. Ryan Tannehill, and I don't have the exact number in front of me, but I know this is true, had the most turnover-worthy plays of any quarterback in the NFL last year. Turnover-worthy. And anyone who watched those games knows that's true. He threw a lot of balls that should have been picked. He had a lot of moments where you were like, oh my God, that was almost a disaster. And they lost games that they should have won. They lost a game, I want to say it was either to the Texans or the Jaguars, where he turned it over 5 times.
Oh, I do remember that.
The Titans, like, that was the worst Ryan Tannehill has looked since he was first in Miami. And I'm a big Tannehill guy. I've backed him for a couple of years now. Watching him last year was tough. It was really tough. And they kept finding ways to win. And I'll tell you what, their defense, the same way you ran through the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' entire roster, you can run through the Tennessee Titans defense, and there's some dogs on there. They have one of the best interior linemen in the game in Simmons. I'll tell you, one of the biggest pickups they had last year is the Texans, out of nowhere, dropped Zach Cunningham. Zach Cunningham is now their right inside linebacker, and he's a freaking dog. They have great secondary. They're well coached on defense. I understand why they're a tough team to beat, and they're going to continue to win games. Tannehill scares me. If he doesn't play better, they're going to lose games.
Well, they drafted, who's the rookie? Willis?
Malik Willis.
Malik Willis.
Yeah. They did draft Malik Willis.
I didn't like what he said about that. I didn't think that was cool.
It didn't bother me. You're a professional. They don't your job, your contract is to play quarterback, not to play mentor and coach.
But there's a reason why. There's a reason why that's the first time that you've heard that.
Look, they have coaches for that. It's not your job to coach.
But
they
that's
have
always
a whole fucking.
But
coaching
that's
staff.
always been true,
I
and
don't
it's
care about
also
that.
always been true that despite that being true, no one's ever come out and said that.
Well,
before.
Rodgers said the same thing about Love. Brett Favre said the same thing about Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers and Ryan Tannehill are very different stories.
Yeah, well, Brett Favre said the same thing about Rodgers. Look, here, all I'm saying is he has to play better this year. If he does not play better, they are not going to win games. I will say this. The A.J. Brown departure, as much as I love A.J. Brown, no one loves A.J. Brown more than me. I am A.J. Brown's biggest fan. The Robert Woods acquisition, yes, he's coming off an ACL. He's probably not going to be ready for week 1. Robert Woods is a quality guy. Nick Westbrook Akeem is he's a good wide receiver, man. He can play. I think he's going to take a step forward. We'll see how Traylon Burks does. You know, I'd be lying to you if I said I watched a lot of Traylon Burks film. I don't know anything about him really. But I will say this. I like the Robert Woods bring in. I think Nick Westbrook can take a step forward. And they still have weapons. And they still have that guy Derrick Henry, who's a dog. But if Tannehill does not play better, so like I guess when you're looking to bet this team or bet against this team, the first couple, like Tannehill will make or break this team. And it's going to be, does he play well? Does he not play well? So if in the first couple weeks, Tannehill looks like shit and is turning the ball over, believe it and bet against him.
Are we looking at a potential Todd Gurley, like the wheels come off situation for Derrick Henry? Derrick Henry has run. Have you seen also, one, just to help my point here, and two, also just because it's wild. If by some marvelous chance you're still listening to this podcast and you aren't familiar with Derrick Henry's high school stats, it is, I mean, I get that it's high school. That's not lost on me. It's outrageous. Outrageous. Do yourself a favor and look at his high school stats.
Yeah,
Derrick Henry has been running the football forever. And in high school, at Alabama, and now with the Tennessee Titans. I mean, he's only really been injured once.
last year.
But is that all that it takes?
Yeah, it is last year too. It's not like he was injured once in college and he hasn't been hurt since. He was hurt last year.
Is that all that it takes? Was that a freak thing and he's back now? Like, I mean, he has so much run on him.
Yeah, I agree.
So that makes me nervous. And then Robert Woods, I love Robert Woods. I actually feel like Robert Woods is like, you know, those like weird players that just kind of like, I think fantasy plays a big part of it, but just like weirdly you get like attached to.
Yeah.
Like Robert Woods is one of those guys for me.
Same.
Love Robert Woods.
Same.
But like, again, he's no spring chicken. He's got some run on him. He's coming off a big injury. the Tennessee Titans concern me. You know, I think it's also not a coincidence that Tannehill got a lot better when he got out of a probably pretty unfortunate Miami situation, mixed with also getting Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Because you have to stack the box.
Yeah.
You have to stack the box. So it makes would it be easier for me to throw the ball with or without Derrick Henry? With, right. So obviously if you're a professional quarterback and you're not my dumbass, so I don't know. That concerns me. I definitely think the Colts are going to win that division.
I think, yeah, I think they should probably be the favorite. I think they're minus money right now. I have a tough time tying up money for the whole NFL season at a minus price.
Ooh. This is the only one that this is true for. They're actually tied.
They're even right now?
They're even at the top of their division.
What are they both?
They're both 9.5. That's the only division in football that there is a tie.
Oh, no. I mean to win the division.
Oh, I'm
A
not
price.
looking at that.
Yeah.
But they are both 9.5.
That makes sense, though. I mean, yes, I get it. I would, if I had to take the over on one and the under on one, I understand why the over would need to be. It'd have to be the over on the Colts and the under on the Titans if I had to pick. But at the same time, I wouldn't touch either of those. In reality, I would not place a bet on either one.
No. Although here's the thing. Are we transitioning to the Colts?
Yeah.
Feels appropriate.
Yeah, that's so.
Carson Wentz, and we talked about this not on the podcast, but there was a rumor on the internet that Frank Reich
Hated him.
actually had to formally apologize
Oh, to the team.
to the ownership of the Colts because he was wanted to bring in Wentz. He was my guy, so he sold him on it, brought in Wentz, and then Wentz was
Dog shit.
dog shit.
And bad for the locker room, too.
And actually, from what you see, looked like Matt Ryan actually took a little step forward last year in his old age.
He was really good under pressure.
He was slinging the ball around last year. I'm a
With a-
shit Falcons fan.
With a bad
Falcons
line and no talent. I mean, he was whipping the ball. And again, I think part of that is Arthur Smith.
And everything that we just talked about how much a good running back aids you.
They had nothing.
And the Colts have a
Quarter, I
great
guess.
little offensive line. Quentin Nelson is
Yeah.
lit. You want to talk about the top
He's
10 or so
He's a blue chipper. Yeah,
non-quarterbacks, non-offensive players Quentin Nelson could be in that competition.
for sure.
That's a good team. Another one, interesting fantasy football take too, is if he can stay healthy for the fucking first time ever, and reports are huge out of camp right now, is Paris Campbell.
Yes. I did not think you were going to say that name, but I appreciate that.
Is Paris Campbell.
He can fly.
Speedster, dude.
Fly.
And he's been hurt the past 2 years.
Every year.
And all I want is Paris Campbell.
Yeah.
That's another one that I've drafted the past 2 years, but I don't feel the way that I feel about him as I feel towards Anthony Edwards. But yeah, so you give me Michael Pittman, you give me Paris Campbell, you give me JT. I think Matt Ryan is a significant increase over
Carson Wentz.
and
for sure.
that defense, the Colts defense, is
Dogs.
loaded. You know who else you forget? Good, a little expatriate player of mine, former Madden 99 overall, former defensive player of the year,
Wait.
Stephon Gilmore.
Oh, yeah, they got Gilmore. They
Is
picked
on the
him up
Colts,
last year.
and he's a year removed from not playing. He sat out last year. He was a little rusty. He was probably pretty unmotivated on a shitty Panthers team. They could have top 5 lockdown quarterback in the league right now too.
Yeah.
The Colts. I'm high on the Colts.
Yeah, I like the Colts too.
I like the Colts.
The only thing I'll add to the Colts discussion, I guess, is really just to hammer home how much better Matt Ryan is than Carson Wentz.
And something that we talked about, the hypothetical on the last episode about
Much better.
about the potential. We don't know, but the potential of pre-snap reads and leadership. Just that alone.
Yeah, and Matt Ryan made it to a Super Bowl. Carson Wentz got replaced on a Super Bowl team, right? I think there's a difference. And also everything I heard and read, Carson Wentz was not just not well liked. It's not they didn't love him. He was disliked. He pissed a lot of people off. And anyone who follows Carson Wentz on Instagram knows that he's the biggest hick in the NFL. He's Cole Beasley, or not Cole Beasley.
Oh, what was? No, he was like, I actually, to be totally honest with you, I always think it's Cole Beasley too.
But it's not.
It's not.
It's not.
Who was that guy?
Whatever white wide receiver dropped the hard R at a Cole Wetzel concert.
It
Maybe
wasn't
that's it.
Cole Beasley. Well,
But yeah,
poor
like
Cole Beasley.
Wentz is the same guy, so that's probably too far. But Wentz is you know, Wentz did not get along well with people in that locker room, and I think Matt Ryan knows how to do it, right? I mean, he played in Atlanta for years. He won an MVP, went to a Super Bowl. And like I think he's the kind of guy that does well in a good system. That's why when Kyle Shanahan was his offensive coordinator, he was ripping the ball down the field. That's why last year with Arthur Smith, he had a resurgence. I think being in Frank Reich's system, he's going to have a great year. I think that's going to be a good team.
I agree. There's not really much more than I think.
Yeah,
I
let's
think he's
move.
just not going to make mistakes. The defense is going to be good. They're going to run the ball. I think it'll be a good team.
They're going to be a solid team.
All right, keep moving.
All right, so the Houston Texans.
What?
Lovey Smith.
What two teams? We're ending this with the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville. We should have saved like a good team for the end. Whatever. Talk about the Texans.
All right, so like maybe at the end, then we'll talk about if we combined the Jaguars and the Texans,
Could
the
they be
best parts, could they win a game?
If you got to take all of the best players
Yeah.
from the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars, do you think they beat the Bills?
No. No, I don't. Going back to the Texans, though, Lovey Smith gets back in the saddle as a head coach in the NFL after years of Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears haven't been the same since. They basically said, Lovey isn't good enough. He can't get us over the top, even though he brought him to a Super Bowl. And how'd that work out for you, Chicago? You fucking bums. Anyway, Lovey Smith's a great coach. He runs a great defense. They do, they do a lot of cover two. They're like, obviously, if you remember when they were in Chicago, they ran a lot of that Tampa 2 style cover two. You need corners who can run, you need safeties who can make reads, and you need linebackers who can get sideline to sideline. They started that process with the draft, bringing in Derek Stingley. It was a little confusing to me. I thought they would have gone to Ahmad Gardner. I'm not going to complain, though. I did have a Derek Stingley plus 1,600 ticket to go third overall exactly. Shout out, honestly, VSiN for giving me that. But I think, Davis Mills, again, he was the best rookie not named Mac Jones last year at quarterback. He played really well. He's a smart kid, obviously, went to Stanford. He can sling the rock. He played really well. He might have a Cashmere sponsorship coming up soon, I heard. Or Turtlenecks General or something. Look, they have a ton of holes. This is not a good team. Their offensive line is bad. They don't have a lot of people to throw to. Their defense has a ton of holes. But Lovey Smith is a good coach. They have a quarterback who isn't afraid to throw it and played well last year. I don't know if there's much more to say. Is this a team that I'm going to take any sort of over on a win total or a long shot to win the division? Absolutely fucking not. But I'm interested to see, and I think this is a team like the Lions last year where expectations are incredibly low, but you're going to get some big numbers. I would actually, you know what? I bet you in terms of spread, ATS, I bet you they cover more games than they don't.
Wow.
I bet you they do. I might put that on the board if you, and I'd even lay juice on it. I'd probably lay minus 120. I think they up to minus 120. I'd rather not, but I bet you they cover more games than they don't. And instead of laying juice, I should probably just bet them consistently across the season with points. I wouldn't lay points with them ever, but they might not. They might not be favored at all year.
Not the sport here, but Jacob DeGrom came back today.
Just saw that. Yes.
Saw something
yesterday. I was on the Nats. I took the Nats.
It said if you were to bet against the Mets in all of his starts, a $100 better against Jacob DeGrom in the past 5 years or whatever it is like a $2,000 winner right now.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is that line yesterday was so high, and keep this in mind. This is a good teaching moment. So that line got so high yesterday. The Mets were closed at minus 385, I think it was, minus 380. If they played 200 times, in order to be profitable, laying minus 380 every single time, the Mets would need to win. If they play 200 times, the Mets would need to win like 170 times.
It's stupid.
So like that's
Poor
not how
Jacob.
baseball works. That's not how sports work. So like when you see a line like that, you just want to play you're playing number, you're playing statistics. You're literally just
The
betting
odds are
against
not
the
in
odds.
the favor of that.
So to that point, again, bringing it back to the NFL.
With the Texans,
With
the
the
Texans are going to be
Texans-
looking at some fucking lofty numbers because everyone's expecting them to get fucked up,
shit kicked in.
shit
Yeah.
kicked in. I'm really trying to be better about my language.
No, I don't care about the swearing except for like the
Well, no,
things that'll get
no.
us canceled.
Yep, because then if we say it, then
Then we have to
take it out again.
Yeah.
That
No,
was a
I
good
wasn't,
look.
I wasn't gonna say it.
No, that was a good look. But look at me though. Look at me catching something before you might say it.
They grow up so fast.
Yeah, look at. Hold on, can we? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I don't have anything to add to that. I think it's really funny that he might do turtleneck commercials. That was a joke on the internet today. Love that. Jacksonville Jaguars. Another funny statistic as I was prepping for this one. This just makes me sad. On their official depth chart, Zay Jones is listed ahead of Laviska Shenault. We were all, as a community, that's another thing that we all bid on.
This podcast loved Laviska Shenault.
Loved Laviska Shenault.
Still do, honestly. I'm still a sucker for the guy.
Oh my!
Get the ball in his hands.
So in my auction draft, someone bet like their first child for Laviska Shenault last year. It went way overpriced.
Actually, I remember that.
Yeah, my cousin Dan. Yeah, way too much. I mean, everyone loves him. He's got a cool name. He looks cool.
He's
He
jacked.
runs around. I mean,
I thought he was going to be AJ Brown.
for Zay Jones to be ahead of Laviska Shenault on their official. I mean, Zay Jones. There's 3 Zay Joneses on all 32 teams in the NFL.
He's not a guy.
He's not a guy.
Unless he is now.
He's not.
He was a first round pick.
He's not. And another funny thing about that team, Christian Kirk.
Yep. Oh my god.
Christian Kirk got paid the GDP of like,
Finland.
yeah, unbelievable.
Bad contract.
Bad contract.
Bad contract.
Crazy.
What the fuck has Christian Kirk ever done?
Wild. I mean, unless they have some advanced analytics. On Christian Kirk. I mean, like, unless they had some fucking geeks from Tesla doing some shit on Christian Kirk.
And they're like, you know what? Christian Kirk, he's actually Jerry Rice. he's actually Jerry Rice.
You know
Just
what-
give him whatever
You know
he
what?
wants.
You know what? That kind of reminds me of another non-football thing. Remember, like the first year that the NBA contracts for the new TV rights kicked in,
Oh, and it
and
was
all
like-
those crazy contracts came out. The Utah Jazz paid Mike Conley.
Yeah, I remember.
He
this.
he had the highest contract ever in NBA history.
Yeah.
That year, he surpassed whatever contract Jordan had gotten from the Bulls. He was the highest paid.
He was like 125 million.
This is what this is for to give Christian Kirk. I mean, it's a poverty franchise. It's why your head coach was kicking your kickers last year. It's a poverty franchise.
Shad Khan's a shit owner. He doesn't know what he's doing. The Urban Meyer hire was
Doug Peterson's hysterical. That their head coach is Doug Peterson. It's just laugh out loud funny.
But he's a Super Bowl winner.
He is a Super Bowl shout out, big. I'm allowed to say Big Dick Nick, right?
Yeah, that's his name.
Okay, all right.
What are you going to not call the man by his name?
I don't know. You given me eyes a bunch of times. You told me a bunch of shit. We have to fucking have Andy fucking edit out for us. I don't know if I was allowed to call him Big Dick Nick.
Well, you can't just be dropping certain words.
Whoa! All right, I know you're going close to the edge.
He said pussy.
On a positive note, I have 2 positive notes. I think they can only get better.
Yeah.
I mean, last year was like, I mean, they might make a 30 for 30 about that team.
One day they will.
Like, so they
By the way, the Urban Meyer 30 for 30
is gonna be crazy.
from like the Utah recruiting scandals to the Florida Aaron Hernandez and Tim Tebow years to like the Ohio State and like the whole deal where his offensive coordinator's like a drunk who like beats his wife or some shit, whatever was going on in Ohio. And then the Urban Meyer 30 for 30 is not going to feel good for him.
No, what they actually didn't they? No, that's just something I've seen a meme so many times. It's so funny to see something on the internet so many times you think it's true.
Yeah.
Is how like that popular meme about how they should do a 30 for 30 about the Florida
Gators.
Gators team.
Yeah.
That's a whole. We could talk about that for another 10 hours.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence. I think at this point is still early enough that you invest in the hype. You invest in the consensus number 1 overall pick. You invest in the college portfolio. You invest in
high
last year as a
school
throwaway
portfolio.
year. Like, so Trevor Lawrence takes a step forward. And another super popular one, like this isn't breaking news by any means, but like Travis Etienne.
What about James Robinson?
I-
Why do people always forget about James Robinson?
That is.
The-
I feel bad for the guy, but it's Travis Etienne.
I-
Travis
I
Etienne
know.
he's better. He's more explosive.
I get it.
He has rapport
Better
with
hands. Again.
Lawrence. Like, and
Two
again,
guys I always feel bad for: James Robinson and Philip fucking Lindsay. Philip Lindsay.
I actually wrote Phil Lindsay on my paper. He's third string on the Colts.
He is third string. I have him in a keeper league. Him and Naeem Hines, both of them, in case JT goes down. But yeah, I just don't get it. These undrafted 1,000-yard rushers, and then teams just threw them to the side like they were fucking.
It's a business, though. You got names. Names
You're
sell
right.
on the back of jerseys.
You're right.
Although I feel like if we look it up, I feel like Philip Lindsay probably has decent jersey sales.
Yeah,
I go out on a limb and think he does.
I would buy it. Continue though. I interrupted you.
So like I think Travis Etienne is good, but like again, they read like what would be the week 16 free agents in your fantasy football league. It's Marvin Jones Jr., Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Laviska Shenault, Travis Etienne, Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence. Like it's just like
They lost Miles Jack.
it's not a team that's gonna win games.
Yeah, the only defensive player you're excited about is Josh Allen. Doug Peterson again. Look, do I think Doug Peterson was the right hire? No, and here's why. That offense he runs, that Nick Foles was so good in, does not develop quarterbacks. There's a reason it was great for a RPO style backup who wound up getting paid from that run. But like, if you want Trevor Lawrence to one day be, what they talk like Peyton Manning or Andrew Luck or, one of these guys who just commands the offense, this is not the next step.
This is like you still have like training wheels on a Ferrari.
Yeah, like you got an adult in the room. Doug Peterson is at least not Urban Meyer. But both times you're basically like, well, Trevor, we're going to give you a college offense and we're going to so we can showcase your skills. And it's like, well, if this is the best prospect since Andrew Luck, put him in a real offense. I think it's the wrong move. I don't know if they'll be good this year. I think this is a poverty franchise, though, to steal your term.
Poverty franchise. Unbelievable. Like, all of the money that they gave to Christian Kirk, they should have given to, like, soup kitchens. I mean, it's fucking absurd.
Just give it back to the people of
On-
Jacksonville.
Literally anyone other than Christian Kirk. Unbelievable. All right. This was the Bad Bets for Free podcast sponsored by the Sharps Toolbox. Why are we here, Zach?
We are here to, hopefully eventually talk about power rankings, spread creation, originating numbers, and to promote a tool that we created called the Sharps Toolbox, which you can find at app.sharpstoolbox.com. One day we're going to talk about how to do all these things. Now that we've begun to cover some of these teams, though, we only have a couple divisions left. We just want to set the context and talk a little bit about, betting theory. We kind of mix that in, and hopefully in an easily understandable and digestible way about, how to think about a bet and how to think about teams as we head into the season in terms of betting those teams. Once we start to get into numbers, how to create power rankings, formulas you can try out, we're going to give away sets of power rankings. They're yours. You can have them. Use the tool. And again, you can find that at app.sharpstoolbox.com. As we continue to go in here, you're going to be able to play around with that all you want, learn a lot about how to create these numbers and just find edges on games and form your own opinions is really what it comes down to.
Yeah. Ultimately, in the long run here, like the value that hopefully you're being provided other than listening to like, where you're going to get your, insider football knowledge. And for people that do like to listen to podcasts, that'd be up for us. But ultimately, we want you using the Sharps Toolbox. We want you making your own power rankings. We want you making your own bets, right? I mean, it seems like they announced last week, right, that it's legal in Mass now. I think that's like it's about to be legal. I think that's like the 31st state in the union now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So hopefully this is like
There's
becoming.
actually 50 states in the union.
Yeah, true. Not that you can all legally place bets. Don't sell our people up a paddle without a stream without paddles. All right, so we're here for you. And I think basically the biggest takeaway from this particular session was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
You're gonna be very good.
They're gonna be very good. So hammer your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then also for me in this particular section,
Wait, let's close it out this way. I'm gonna try to change it up.
just close it. Do your close.
You ready?
Yep.
You can go first. One word for each of the southern teams you've covered to define to just explain what, like, just one word to describe that team.
Tampa, hammer away. They're the best. They're a top 3 team in the NFL.
Sure.
So hammer Tampa all year long with confidence. Atlanta Falcons avoid like the plague. Jacksonville Jaguars avoid like the plague. Colts. We talked about them in the sense of winning.
One word.
Oh, sorry, Colts. Good team, but at this point, probably still stay away from until you have more information.
That was like 15 words. All right. Titans, beware. Watch the fuck out. Just be very cautious when you're looking at the Titans. Texans, value. There's going to be some value on the Texans. If they can, again, not saying they're going to be a good football team, but you should be able to win some games betting into their spreads. Panthers, favorite, and the reason I'm going to say favorite is because of the 6.5 over-under teams. They're my favorite of that. Should find some value on them too. And then Saints, sneaky. They are sneaky dangerous. If Jameis shows up eating W's and stealing crab legs, Jameis and the Saints could be very good because they have great defensive talent and a strong offensive line, a lot of weapons around them.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.